Chris Level here with the head coach of the Lubbock-Cooper Pirates, Chip Darden. This is Pirate Talk. We wanted to do one more to kind of wrap up the season, if you will, and just kind of take a look back. And there's been some things announced award-wise that we wanted to get into with Coach Darden, let him get into that. But first of all, how was Thanksgiving, holiday, and all that? Probably wish you were still practicing and playing a game last week. But
yeah, me and Coach Cat were talking about it a little bit, that I think it's the first time since 2015 that we weren't practicing on Thanksgiving week, which so it was different. It was different. Got to be around family a little bit, which is always great. And, obviously wish we were still playing football this week, and I know our guys do too. But always good to be around family and get to do that. I got to battle the flu a little bit, so personally that was not ideal.
We've all handed the baton off to each other on that whole deal.
My wife made a comment with how little I was eating, and she's like, "I can tell you don't feel good." I was like, "Well, that's real nice."
Based on the old appetite, that's right. When you guys, in this case, the last game was against Toledo. They are a really good team. I think they're still playing. Do you follow playoffs and everything, or do you kind of just want to get away from it just because? I mean, take me through that. Whenever you lose your last game, I guess.
Yeah, personally I do, and I think our staff kind of does. It's funny, when Alito was playing the other night, there's coaches group text going, everybody's watching it and kind of talking about it, and a lot of football guys, you know what I mean, just like watching football. So I like to follow, if in this situation like Alito and see how they're doing. Also like to follow our district teams. So like I watched Abilene High the other night, and see anybody that there's some sort of a connection. I think it's always fun to watch football this time of year. I like watching great people do what they're good at, and so it's fun to watch. There's always a maddening side of it too. Like, man, we should be there. We could beat this team. All that stuff. But that's part of it, part of life.
Yeah, and against Alito, I think really good second half for you guys. Just kind of got behind in the first half, and it was just that's the wrong team to kind of get behind against when you.
Yeah, and I thought overall our kids played hard the entire game. I got asked a whole lot about what halftime adjustments we made offensively, and we really didn't. Kind of a secret there. We didn't. I don't know that we made one tweak. We had a new kind of a new scheme that we put in, and we'd been practicing it for about 3 weeks, and that was the first time doing it. And I think some of it is you do it against scout team, but doing it against a really good team, you need some reps at it. And so I think our guys just got more comfortable, and we just played a little bit better, and probably called a little bit better situational football and things like that. But we were, I think a lot of people would look, we're down 28-0 at halftime. It was just really close to being 21-7 at half and us getting the ball and being a one-score game. I think overall it was just closer than the score indicated. We got some big stops in the first half that gave us a chance. I think it was a 21-0 game, and we were across midfield and kind of have a little momentum, and then we fumble it, and it just just one of those deals. And I think that's something that we'll learn from overall, that against the really good teams, we saw it in our district too. Really good teams, a little bit of a misexecution, not a blatant that everybody knows, a pick six or something like that, just a little misexecution. A team like that takes advantage of it, and that's kind of what we saw. But moral victories aren't what we're about, and they won't ever be. But I also look at how we finish, and right there at the end, there's less than a minute left, and we finish getting a stop and get a first down when we get the ball back. Like our guys never quit, and that was not surprising. I mean, knew they would play hard. That's kind of what we said coming out after half. Hey, we got 24 minutes of football. We're going to play hard. Let's see what happens. And so really proud of them. And I don't think the losing to Alito is not what any of our guys had on their minds. I mean, we went into that game to win, and so there was a lot of disappointment. But you can, at this point, you can kind of look back and look at the season as a whole and not just really focus on one. So
Yeah, and you know, just what, 3 losses all season. I mean, Alito and Friendship and Tascosa, 3 really good football
Right.
teams.
Yeah.
I mean, so
and then beat some good ones.
absolutely,
Abilene
yes.
High, I think everybody showed.
And Wiley,
Our-
Abilene Wiley in the non-district.
Wiley's
I mean,
still playing.
That's
They're
right.
playing this week. And,
I mean,
Abilene High showed getting 4th place in our district, and they went the furthest. They went 3 rounds and battled Centennial. That was a tie game at half. So just a tough schedule. I don't know who made that schedule, but that's ridiculous.
it's funny you say that. That was one of the things I wanted to ask you. How much your schedule is essentially put together next year, because it's just kind of opposite, like as far as the district games, but also
Non-district,
non-district.
same. Yep.
So, yeah, who put that together?
Who put it together?
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe I need somebody else to do it
Well,
next go
at
around.
least you won't have to drive all the way out to Dumas. And,
Yep.
You know, they gotta, you know.
No doubt. We get to go to Wichita Falls.
Yeah,
so.
this is true. This is true. Yeah. So, some all district stuff announced. I want to get into some of these awards. One, I want you to kind of explain how this process works, because it's a combination of you guys and all the coaches from all the schools and the all district stuff. The headliner though for you guys was Cub Patton being special teams MVP. So kind of take me through. I don't want to leave anybody out here.
Yep,
We've
for
got
sure.
we've got the list here, but kind of take us through how that process comes to be.
Yeah, there's a like any of postseason awards, we never want to say that they're not that big a deal. It's always good for kids to feel a reward and get noticed. But at the same time, there can be politics involved in all district stuff, and we really as a coaching staff don't get into that. When we go through a voting process, we're going to vote on the best player. I think there's, and I don't know that any of our coaches in our district are this way. You hear about it, kind of each year, different places that, you're going. So how it works is we get to nominate. The coaches decide. Here's what awards they're going to be. We're going to take one quarterback, this many receivers. You kind of go through what the team's going to look like, and the district champion gets to run the meeting. So Tascosa gets to run it, and then basically you can nominate all the players that you want, and then it's sent out and everybody votes, and basically it's whoever gets the most votes is on the all district team. Then you go from superlatives to first team, then second team. You do a vote for all of them. So kind of the way it works. And there's just times that I think, and I don't think anybody in our district did this, but you've seen it before where somebody goes, okay, this kid's the best player, but our kid might have a better chance of getting on it if I don't vote for him and all that. So there, I think there are a lot of our guys that really deserve to be on it that got on it, and really proud of them for that. I think that we had other guys that deserved to be on it that didn't, and that it's just part of the deal. And
Some of it too. It's because there were some things that I was surprised, good ways and bad ways, if that makes sense. But some of it has to do with how deep a position group is in the district versus another position group. I mean that
for sure.
That's
I'll tell you, the defenses in our district were really good, and so it's tough. There's kids that aren't even on our team that I can't believe aren't on first or second team. But you look at the guys that are on it, and you go, well, those are good players too. So it is. It's weird. So, our guys that are on it, proud of them, and I think it's a neat deal. I think there's also guys that deserve to be on it that, that's just part of it. That's part of the deal. So, but yeah, Cub getting a superlative in a district like that is pretty awesome. We felt like a lot of times we feel like whoever wins the district really deserves the superlatives, offense, defense, MVP. We went ahead and nominated Cub for special teams just because we felt like he was the best special teams player in the district, and coaches thought that as well. So that's pretty neat deal that he got that as a sophomore.
Yeah, and I don't know who his competition would have been in that category, but it seems like because he could dominate a game with that.
He did
that leg and foot of his. And again, looking at this, Tascosa really dominates some of these things.
And I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Those guys went 6-0 in a great district. I mean, they deserve it.
They had some guys, man,
Yep.
that can flat out on
did.
both sides of the ball. As we go down, kind of just a brief comment from you on each of these guys. First team all district wide receiver was Cooper Morris, wide out.
Yep, and Cooper
Big catch.
he had and one was not in district, but 2 game-winning catches that obviously were huge, and he kind of took a. We challenged him to be a better blocker this year, and I think he took that to heart, and just a good leader and multi-sport guy. So proud for Cooper.
3 offensive linemen first team. One name missing that I thought was interesting, but Hunter Johnson, Coulter Lynch, Holton Hendricks, offensive tackle, and then a couple of guards there. We knew how good this offensive line was. 3 of the 5 of them are first team. I was surprised that Caden Carr wasn't also there. I know he moves in, and so maybe there's some dynamics there. Your offensive line, shocker that they were honored to for a lot of these awards.
Yep, and I think all deserving. I think Caden is deserving. I think Braden Finner at center,
Yes.
and I know they're not gonna. They're going to
can't
get all
do the whole
5,
5,
right?
yeah.
And there's other good offensive linemen in the district, but pretty neat to have 3 there on the first team. And I could talk about each one of them. Those guys are great kids to be around too, and they got some mean to them, and that's what we noticed, and kind of. We would put pressure on those O-linemen a little bit, but kind of as they go, we go. And when we're playing well up front, our offense was pretty good. And, we rushed for 300 yards against Aledo, and it doesn't matter. The L is what matters, but pretty impressive, and it says a lot about them.
That's not nothing.
And then the next one that you got there, too, we kind of consider part of that. But Sam Marcinkowski being a first-teamer is impressive. There were some good tight ends in the district.
Is it fair to say in some ways you were most proud of this nomination or this award because of the dirty work that a guy like Sam does? Typically, the skill players, it's a stat-driven.
Correct.
Okay, that's not what he was about. But I've been watching him play basketball recently, and he plays hoops the same way.
Yep.
He's gonna. It's toughness, it's grit, it's dirty work, it's glue guy. So, but that's
and going back to his brother Ben playing, I thought his brother didn't get. I thought there were a couple times that he should have been a first teamer that he wasn't. It's just funny how that works. But I was proud of Sam for getting that nod.
Defensively, these are 2 no-brainers. There's some other guys I was somewhat surprised about. These 2, Ty Polite, Cutter Douglas, really the mainstays on defense. These guys show up every Friday night, and
You got 2 captains, 2 guys that are 3-year varsity players, and Ty led the team in sacks and I think TFLs, and Cutter led the team in tackles 2nd year in a row. Cutter was an offensive player his sophomore year, played running back. Had he been a defensive player, I think he would have pushed for the career tackle. He was right on it, right about. I think the total there's about 360, and he's both years averaged about 120. And I'm not a math guy, but I feel like that's about right on pace. So anyway, just a great career for both of those guys, and proud of them for getting on that team.
And you had some, your quarterback that will move to second team, but Tyler Sproul, Jackson Austin, Braden Laws, Caden Carr, as we mentioned. But I'm reminded how many quarterback situations change throughout the season, whether it's high school, college, or whatever. And Tyler wasn't the starting quarterback out of camp. And going back to Dumas, I mean, you guys just feel like, man, he can give us a different dynamic or whatever. And he just kind of was steady the whole way through, and just a credit to him.
Yeah, and I think there's a whole lot that Tyler does well, and he just positive energy and all that stuff. I think the trait that he's got that you can't quantify, you can't see in a practice setting, he is tough. I mean, that sucker is tough, and he. At the Lido game, we're running some more option, and early it's good, and it's kind of like practice. And all of a sudden, they started saying, "Well, we're gonna put our helmet right under that quarterback's chin," and he took some shots and didn't even know after the game, but his hands were beat up, and he's just a tough kid. So proud of him, and proud of how he earned it and kind of led us all year.
He just smiles all the time.
Yep.
It's so fun being around him. Hey man, Tyler, we're gonna interview you. Sick. that's just who he is. I thought his toughness and just. He just kind of one of those guys when lights come on, he just plays.
Yep.
He doesn't, he's just playing. Like, hey, tell me what to do, where we're going, and I'll run as fast as I can doing it. But
Yep.
and then speaking of
Jackson
Austin,
Jackson, made a position switch and
also part of the story of the season.
Yeah, it was big. He kind of showed that he can handle that. Braden Laws is another guy. He spent a little varsity time as a sophomore, kind of a 3-year guy, and got injured. We were concerned that he wouldn't come back, and was able to come back and play in the playoffs. So I was glad he got to end it with playing. And then you mentioned Caden already, but Caden was a great addition. Just everybody can see how big, and he's gonna sign with Texas Tech, all that stuff. But he just was a great locker room addition. Great kid, never missed. Just a good addition to our team.
And the other guy on second team defense, Mason Galliano, he played a little hurt too.
Jeez, Mason. Some people call him Quadzilla. He's got the biggest quads in the program. He breaks his hand, I believe against Amarillo High maybe, but just decided that he wanted to play against Abilene High and postponed surgery. So he had to have surgery on his hand, but he wanted to postpone it, play against Abilene High, played with a big, huge deal on. I don't think it felt very good the whole game, and then turned around and the next Monday had surgery and missed one game and was back. So I was, again, I think there's more guys that probably deserve to be on it, but man, I'm proud of him, and awesome deal for him to get a second team all-district.
Yeah, there's no brainers on that list, but then there's guys like Mason, guys like Sam that that's the meaning of coaching in the sport, and they're doing some things for a team that like maybe not a lot of people see, but
Sure.
You guys certainly
Yep.
notice. So at this process in the year, there's recruiting going on at the college level. You guys are kind of starting to transition into looking to next season and all that. Do you have exit meetings with guys that are coming back and say, hey man, this is what we want you to get better at. This is how we envision. You mentioned a scheme change. Take me through that dynamic.
Yeah, and we change this almost every year. It's looked a little bit different. So this year we did it. It was kind of weird. We end on a Friday night, and then we don't see anybody for a full week because we've got Thanksgiving break. So that's a weird dynamic. Typically you end on a Friday or Saturday, and you at least Monday are able to get back together. So it was weird having about 10 days without everybody. So we got everybody together, and we kind of did a full team exit, kind of went over the previous season. Then we got our seniors separate, kind of had a senior talk, and then we got our returners all together and just kind of went over the expectation and what we've got to do. And I won't necessarily get into details on that other than, we had a great year, and it's not all about wins and losses, but we want to do better. And so that's kind of the process with our returning guys. And then with our returners, we had individual, not one-on-one, but like your group meeting. So all the inside linebackers met with Coach Reed. All the safeties met with Coach White and did that kind of as a whole what we got to do. And then our coaches will have one-on-ones with everybody, and it'll be between now and March. It won't be just right now. It'll be before we get to spring ball. Everybody's all over the place, playing basketball, wrestling, and coaches too. So we kind of spread that out whenever it works. But we believe in communicating with the kids, and those exit meetings are honest, and sometimes hard for a kid to hear, sometimes hard for a coach to say. But we're very honest with those meetings and making sure that everybody knows where they stand. And a saying that we've got in the program is everybody's role is different, but status is the same, and that everybody is just as important. You may not be the guy that catches 15 footballs a game or whatever it might be, but roles are different, status is the same. So making sure that they just know here's what the role is going to be, unless we see, this happens, and then this is the role. So that's important to us, important to communicate with everybody and make sure that we're all on the same page.
And you mentioned Caden Carr signing with Texas Tech. He will do that here pretty soon. You also have one of your soon-to-be seniors, junior Holton Hendricks, announces that he's going to sign with Texas Tech and kind of makes that decision. Probably, I think, a big relief. We've both talked to Holton about that, but that's fun for kids to kind of achieve their dreams and within your program.
It is. It's awesome to see, and we're going to have more kids that'll sign. So there's an early signing period, which we'll do on December 21st, and we'll push that out on social media when we get exact specifics. Okay. But Caden will sign then, and may have one or two if they make a decision between now and then.
Which is my next question.
Yeah, and there's a few. I think we've got about 9 to 10 that want to give it a shot and see if there's the ability to do that. But then there'll be another signing that we do in the spring that we kind of add in some other sports and things like that. So you might only see 1 or 2 here in December, but there'll be more than that sign to play football.
College athletics is changing. We all understand that, and this trickle down part of it is tricky for kids that are trying to continue their career, even at Division II and junior college, on it, because the ball rolls downhill with the transfer portal and all those things. So I think patience is what some of these young men are going to have. It's hard.
It's very hard.
I want to know where I'm going. I don't want to wait. I don't know when the phone's going to ring.
The guys in college right now really can't get in the portal and start communicating till Monday. So it's almost like you got to wait then about a week or two to see what happens there, and then I think teams will start pulling the trigger on offering high school kids.
And the portal window doesn't end until January the 18th.
Yep.
And so at that point, that's kind of the window that it's like after that, maybe the phone starts ringing a little bit. Well, you just don't know. But anyways.
Well, and you get a kid, just so everybody kind of knows too. But Ohio State gets a portal kid. Well, then they drop a high school kid, so now that kid can go to Iowa. Well, now Iowa drops one of their guys, and that kid, and it can go all the way down to the lowest level. And so everybody's kind of got to wait. Tough to be a high school senior that's trying to get a scholarship.
No doubt, yeah. And there's only so many spots.
Yep.
Yeah, there's only so many spots. Okay, well that'll wrap us up. But we do, before we go, it is almost Christmas time.
I have gotten. I try to get people to give me feedback, and they said they hate this part. So we got to cut it out next year.
The people that I talk to don't say that. They love this part. Yeah, so it's Christmas time, or getting close to be. You can legally now, and not that it was illegal before, but now I'll condone Christmas music.
I'll accept it.
Lights
as well.
on the house, the Christmas trees up. We're in December now, so this is kind of the way it goes. How many Christmas trees does the Darden household have?
This year is out of control.
So you're more than one house.
Oh yeah, we've got a living room. I didn't have any part of putting them up. Living room, kids' room.
So Stacy,
both kids' rooms, our room.
Okay.
They're not all full size, but are you talking 1, 2,
if it
3,
takes any
4,
time
5,
to decorate,
6. There's 6 in our house, I believe.
Oh wow! You know what? I mean, good for you, man. Yeah,
it's just
good
what
for
I need.
you for being comfortable with that.
Just what I need. I don't think I had any part in the decision, yes or no, there.
Okay, I'll go total opposite on the kind of question I will ask you then. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Man, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, see, right there, you heard it here. Absolutely, 1,000% total Christmas movie.
Yep. That's
opening presents on Christmas Eve. Okay, at the Darden household for the younger Dardens. He's like condone. Hey, Cannon, sure, that's okay, or like absolutely not. No, that's
Nope. Nope. It's Christmas morning.
Okay,
yeah,
so
it's Christmas morning.
No grace, no.
Nope, you got it. That's part of it. That's part of the waiting, man.
That's the coach in you. That's
we
can't run a play in pregame. We got to wait till the game starts.
Correct.
Do you like peanut brittle?
No, I don't.
Do you know what a chestnut is?
I mean, I know of it. I don't know that
Have
I've
you ever roasted it on an open fire?
I have not.
No? Okay.
I have not.
Okay.
I feel like every episode we talk about my mom and cooking. But instead of peanut brittle, she does a cinnamon. It's kind of like the consistency of a peanut brittle, and it's just cinnamon. Oh man.
Oh yeah, cinnamon's one of the most underrated spices out there in the world.
Is.
Yeah, I mean, I totally anything with cinnamon.
There's a Seinfeld reference to cinnamon too, if you want. Cinnamon babka.
There you go. Favorite Christmas song.
I'm
or carol?
I'm
Christmas
old
carol?
school on the Christmas music.
Okay.
Like I would say probably "Oh Holy Night."
Okay, let's hear some.
No, that's not happening.
Right
But thank
now.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate the offer.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Will not.
No?
No.
Okay, that's disappointing.
Hey,
I thought
Coming off of the flu, I got a little voice problems.
okay, yeah. You can't play hurt. I thought you'd maybe go the Mariah Carey one.
Oh,
you know,
oh my goodness.
you know
I
how
can't.
to-
I can't
no?
do it.
Okay.
Can't. There are. My wife has had Christmas. Like I guess there's a holiday button on the Sirius.
Oh, of
And-
course there is. There's probably like 4 of them.
And
actually.
I have to go to there's a traditional one, and I have to go to that.
So
I can't hear that.
you're like Bing Crosby.
Yes,
Burl
yeah,
Ives.
Bing Crosby's legit.
Yeah, so you appreciated the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer
Oh, yeah.
special,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the old school, like, oh hi.
Yep.
I mean,
That was great.
Yeah, the whole.
That's great.
Okay. What was one Christmas present that you desperately wanted as a kid that never got?
Oh
You know,
man,
kind of like Ralphie's, Red
Yeah.
Ryder BB gun and all that.
That I never
He
got.
ended up getting it in the movie, but is there anything that you were like, man, I really wanted?
Nah, it's hard to remember that. We were pretty fortunate on usually getting a lot of stuff. This is not answering your question at all.
Okay.
One time, little brother wanted a PlayStation. I think it was a PlayStation. Had a box that he had scoped out all December. That's it. That's the PlayStation.
Of course he did.
And my dad waits for that to be the last gift. And he just knew it, and it was a pair of hunting boots. And like I've never seen disappointment. And he is way too old. Like he was like high school age. They had the Xbox or the PlayStation. They were just messing with it. So he ended up getting it. But I'll never forget his face when he opened that, and it was not the PlayStation.
And so did he try to fake sell?
Not really.
The hunting boots?
not
Oh,
really.
this is great.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
He
It was
dislikes
awesome.
hunting boots, is what I've learned here.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Have you ever worn a Christmas sweater?
No, I don't think I've ever worn an ugly no, I don't think so.
I think that the coaching staff needs to have a Christmas party, and that needs to be an ugly sweater Christmas party. That's
probably not a bad idea.
You gotta, if you want eggnog and you want to come in, you gotta have one on.
I like that idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Who's going to host this? Because I don't really want to host it. We're going to Chris Level's house, guys.
There we go. Come on. Have you ever, like Home Alone, Elf, Christmas Vacation, kind of rank those? Is there anything else I'm missing that's like must see around this time of year that you're like, okay, it gets me in the spirit. It gets me.
Yeah, Christmas
Die Hard
Vacation.
aside. mind you.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation is number one by far in our house. That was a tradition long ago that we always watched that on Christmas Eve. Christmas Story is it's like you either love it or hate it. I feel like, and I think it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Christmas Story. Elf is one that I know everybody loves that I don't really
you don't
enjoy.
care for that?
Will Ferrell's just very.
Hit or miss for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So Christmas Vacation is like a tier of its own.
Okay. You don't like ginormous and all those things.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, well, that's he uses that line in Elf and all that.
Yeah,
but,
see.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, we certainly appreciate everybody tuning in for these all season long. I feel like I don't think we did one of these in late August, and here we are in December. So it's been a fun fall. I thoroughly enjoyed being with Coach Darden every week. We will do some of these in the spring too. I think important to note that as we kind of just update everybody on the football program. But man, enjoyed it. You crushed it.
Yeah, appreciate. And just one shout out to everybody. Out of our 5 home games, I believe we had 4 that were sellouts and packed houses. So appreciate everybody. We got a home atmosphere that I think is second to none. And so next year will be another really good home schedule that flips. And just appreciate everybody. It makes a difference. And being able to have, I think this was 7 years in a row of having a home playoff game, and that's something that's pretty neat for our program and for our community. So we'll try to keep that up, and goals to get better next year.
Keep hope alive, people. This has been another edition of Pirate Talk.